Hello anglers, this is Anglers 48 and welcome to the Anglers 48 Show podcast. Thank you for joining us today. What are we going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about the overnight fishing trip, right? And if time permits, a little bit of Dallas Cowboys. So let's go ahead and get to it, guys. I went fishing yesterday, overnight, and it was a pretty good night compared to some of the other trips that I've experienced. Now, I loaded up the kayak on Thursday night. Put on it as much as I could. The truck was loaded with gas. It was ready. I had been itching to take the kayak this time. The previous visit, I went with Tony. And I had to walk, and I hadn't slept. But this time around, I wanted more poles in the water, more opportunities, right? So on Friday, when I got home from work, I took care of things, odds and ends that I needed to put in the truck to take with me. Ice, cold drinks, some snacks, things of that nature. And come 6:30, and I took off, and I showed up right as the sun was setting. I kind of figured if I get there during daylight, and I didn't think I was going to get there during daylight, I would fish, I would cast net on the north side. But if I got there, in darkness, I was going to throw the net right there where El Poco Loco is, the boat ramp. So that's what I did. I got there. There was still some traffic. People were launching in their boat, and it was just congested. During those spaces, I was able to throw the net a couple of times. I think I got maybe about 10 finger mullet. And I had already had some frozen bait from the previous trip. So I still took the net with me. I don't like going unprepared that way because I really don't see bait by the shore where I'm fishing at. So if you're going to be out there for hours on end and you're not prepared, you're setting yourself up, right? So as far as bait, I was good, right? And it proved it the whole night. The catfish, they weren't busy all night long. I think I may have caught about maybe 8 catfish the whole night, which is good, actually. There was a period where I wasn't catching anything. Nothing big, but definitely no catfish. Enough to want me to take the poles out of the water. So I did that fishing trip. I had told Tony, and he said he was going to do a morning fishing trip. He had plenty of time to get ready. He likes to get there a little sooner to get some bait and set up his things. So it was just going to be it was going to be rushing it for him. And to me, it was going to be okay because the weather was going to be pleasant. And I've gone in the water at night in rough conditions. So pleasant weather at night, knowing where I'm going, it wasn't too bad. The weather, you were talking about 5-mile-an-hour winds, and then all of a sudden there was no wind whatsoever. Perfect for a fishing trip, The water was calm. You could hear, you could feel the light chop. But then come midnight, 1 o'clock, the water was just basically still. I wasn't worried about that chop that brings in the seaweed, and you have to be constantly looking over your line. Because when this happens, you catch a catfish and you're not paying attention, that catfish is going to bring your line in. And when your line comes in, seaweed sets on your line, and then you're going to be spending your fishing trip untangling all that mess. Now, the time, for example, I took off right at 8 from the area where I launch, and I know it's going to be about 25 minutes, right? It's a 25-minute drive, if you will, on the kayak, going about maybe 2 miles an hour, 3 miles an hour, right? Kayak is fully loaded, so I have a lot of gear, a lot of equipment. So around 8:25, I make my way out to the shore, and I'm a little off of my original target. I set up, I cast, and I fish up until maybe 10 o'clock. All right, so from 8:25 to about 10 o'clock, I just cast out from that spot. I was about 100 yards away from my destination. I didn't get any hits, so I packed everything up, and I moved to the spot where I wanted to fish, set up everything again, and maybe about 11:30, I started, maybe a catfish here we go again, and then I was able to catch through the whole night a 20 and a quarter inch red, a bull red, 29 inches, black drum, 17 inches, and a 20-inch red. The 20-incher was a little bit closer towards maybe 5 o'clock in the morning. Those fish that when you pinch the tail, it barely rubs the 20-inch line. It's too risky. A lot of explaining to do if the game warden comes by. And if you're a game warden, how do you all see that? Is it like when somebody throws a flag and it's everyone's interpretation? So some people take a risk. I don't like to take those risks. So the bait, like I said, it was mostly finger mullet, dead finger mullet. Maybe 1 or 2 was alive initially, those that I caught. So I started with a live finger mullet, okay, and then I worked my way with the frozen one, the dead one. Okay, normally you want a little bit of action initially, but then I started cutting them, preserving, my bait, so to speak. And that big red, I caught it with croaker, right? I had caught a good sized croaker, and I got a whole lot of bait out of that. I cut it up a little bit, and it was with croaker that I was able to catch that oversized red. Now the gear, right? I took 5 poles, and I had my rod holder. I had rod holders from my kayak. So the thing is, I only have one. It's a single loop, a single drop hook leader. So actually, I had 4 pieces of bait at once. Right? I had 4 pieces of bait at once. It's not like you have that, like the drop loop. It's the leader. I had a single leader. I had I brought 3 pullovers. I had the windbreaker jacket, the windbreaker pants. I brought a lot of that deep woods. I brought that. You gotta have your deep woods. Even the toughest criminal in the world can't survive a fishing trip where the mosquitoes are just trying to get you. So you need that off as the spray. So I put on a lot of that. I'm layered up. At first, the weather was so good that I could tolerate the breeze, right? It was a light breeze, a light cool breeze, but I could tolerate it. But there was a mishap. When I wanted to switch places around 10 o'clock, I load up everything on the kayak, and I'm pulling on the bow line, and it breaks, and my force pulls me back, and I'm in the water soaked. I started feeling a little bit of pain on my shoulder there. It was more just frustration, that things can happen when you're out there. I could have hit my head. I don't have a life jacket. I wasn't on the boat, right? I'm trying to get the boat in the water. So I fall in there. A rock, something sharp could have been in the water. And there goes anglers, So rope snapped, I gathered myself, tied it correctly, pulled it from where I'm supposed to pull it, from the handle. And I make it to my spot. And like I said, I was able to finally gather myself. And I started throwing the line and everything. Now, let me tell you this. When I caught that red, I'm looking for my pin. And I remember that I had detailed my little tackle box. And when I put everything back, I don't remember putting a pin in there. So that tag needs to be completely filled out before you make it back to the port. The game warden, they're not going to be forgiving. No excuses. And I was able to find the pin. Well, hello. You got the pin. Where's the oversized tag? It was in the truck. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I have the license right here on my phone. I have all my documentations, driver's license, things of that nature. But the bonus tag, you need it. It needs to be filled out. It needs to be attached to that fish. You can't show up to the truck and then say, excuse me, officer, let me fill it out. No. How does that officer know that that's your intentions? So I botched that part of the fishing trip. Beautiful red, beautiful. Not many reds that big and on do you get that copper color, that beautiful copper color. I've caught other reds in the past. It's not in color. It's white and faded. This one, for its size, and I've seen some, reds where people have caught them. One of the most beautiful copper colors I've ever seen. That one was a beautiful copper color red. So I had to let it go. You gotta let it go. Can't get into a situation where you get to the port and, why? It's going to ruin your day. It's going to ruin your week. You ruin your fishing trip. Unless there are people that don't care. They have money. They can pay the fine. No, I can't do that. I love the sport too much to do stuff like that. I try to go with what the law says. Okay, beautiful. I know. So I let it go, which is the right thing to do. Now, I'm looking at it, right? Nighttime, daytime. The last few fishing trips, nothing during the night. One trout, keep a trout during the day, and that was it. This time, what did I catch? Nighttime, daytime. I got several game fish during the night, and one keeper trout during the day. I could see the wake, the blow-ups. It was just the trout were small and spread apart. Tony, he caught two keeper trout. He caught an undersized red, several undersized trout. Rick Luna, he was able to hook onto maybe one or two trout. Several other anglers, they said that they were hooking onto undersized trout. So Wesley, hey Wesley, sent me a picture, a friend of mine, with a beautiful big ugly. That was a massive big ugly. Good fighting. There was a whole lot of traffic on this fishing trip. A whole lot of traffic. There wasn't even sunrise yet. And a family of anglers. When I mean a family, I mean a father and a son, right? And I've met them before, and I'm friends with one of their kids. They do that whole thing, fish far away from town, but they have to walk. They have to go very far. How did they do? I'm not sure. I hope they did fine. But kayakers were all over. My friend Rick Luna, he mentioned that there were kayakers on the south side of town. And I kind of figured. He said that there were trailers of kayaks. When he said trailers of kayaks, from my personal experience, it's these people that provide some type of nonprofit for the military, for retired veterans, right? So it's a service. I believe it's, like I said, they're providing, recreation for our military. Okay, so a lot of the people that are they're fishing on the kayaks, from what I've seen in the past in Port Mansfield and Arroyo, are active or retired military. Okay, and some are fishing, some I believe they're just recreating, and that's what it was. I could be wrong, right? But from what I've seen in the past, that they go out there. Okay, it's back to, so there were kayaks practically overtaking the south side. There was about maybe 10 kayaks on the north side. Where I was at, I was far away from town. I was, fishing north. And I felt pretty good. I had some open bay. I was doing my thing, fan casting the shoreline, a couple of boaters, started fishing the shoreline as well. So once I got to an angler who had passed me, because I was fishing, and maybe about 9:30, I saw an angler also get away from the congestion. That's a long walk. That's a very, very long walk that people take just either to hit spots or just to get away from the congestion. Once I got to where he was, I started trolling back to where Tony was, because he was gonna go get some more shrimp, and he was gonna give me some. By then, the wind had picked up, right? So the wind had picked up, and I didn't catch anything after that. Only a few dinky trout. I was dragging the lure, caught a couple. I was hoping one of those was gonna be a good trout, because it does happen. Specifically when you're not hitting any grass, you got that chance, right? You got that chance where you're gonna go through a hot spot, a fish, On my way back to go see Tony, I ran into Mr. Rick Luna. Check out his channel. He's on YouTube. He's got a YouTube channel. He does a lot of saltwater kayak fishing. So I was able to meet Mr. Luna there. Great work. I saw your video, my friend. So, and I also saw RGV off the hook. He was out there. I saw him coming out of the water. So he was doing his thing right there, RGV. So yeah, some people that I met as soon as I got out of the water, we were there chatting, trading stories a little bit. So, like I said, the bite, it was a little slow. The bite was a little slow, guys. Trout was there, right? You were catching. It's just, it was spread out and they were kind of small. I was able to feel something very big when I was already fishing alongside Tony, closer to the port. The second I set that hook, you could tell there's a big difference, and you can feel it. When you set that hook, excuse me, you can tell that there was something heavy on the other side, and it just didn't hook. By then, I had already kind of put it in my mind, long night, hadn't slept, and the biting, I could have, and that's something you can consider, I could have started from the beginning, throwing the lure. It was the wind was to my back, so I could have done that again, but there was just too many kayakers, too much traffic. Next thing is boaters. I've seen more and more boaters, even closer to the port. What's your take on this? Boaters. You don't just have kayakers. You don't just have waders. You have boaters. And some of them, they keep their distance to a degree. But further down north, they're somewhat blocking a wader's path. I don't think that's, no. And then some of them, they want to drift yards from the shore. Basically what the wader is doing, they want to do on their boat. How do you feel about that? For a wader, when they have a boater in front, that is not at anchor, it's a little challenging because they're impeding your path. You can't go around them, right? You can't go around them because when you want to go around them, they'll never cut you in. Can't walk that fast. So, yeah, these boaters, especially further up north, they're in Port Mansfield. They'll cut out, and sometimes they have that trolling motor working, so they're not at anchor. One or two in the past, I've gone around them because they anchor right in the path of a wader. So it does somewhat pose a problem. Boaters getting too close to the shore, too close to where there's waders. Maybe not kayakers, because the kayaker has that advantage where we can go around. But, you know, I talked about etiquette on my previous show, fish etiquette. And you can see both ways. You know, that's the reason that they have a boat, to get to different places, to move to different spots. Yes, but if it's not gonna interfere with the people that are waiting, so it's a double-edged sword, you know, as far as who's around you, who's not. I would see it as it's okay, but maintain your boundary. Don't go in too far to the shore, but you're gonna impede somebody from continuing to wade. If you're wading, if you're drifting, continue drifting. Don't stop your drift. And as soon as that person gets out of the water to go around you, continue the drift. So that's there right there. We'll see what next week brings. The winds picked up. I know Wesley was gonna go fishing. A nephew of mine was also on the water yesterday. I'm not exactly sure if they were on the water again today. They had a good, a successful trip. They may have gone to the East Cut there in Port Mansfield. They caught some huge reds, but these were fat. Mine wasn't fat. Mine was, you know, skinny. So good luck congrats to Angel, you know, on his success. But they were talking about windy Sunday. I'm not sure about the rest of the week. I'm going to continue to check out the forecast. But hopefully another overnighter. You know, I love these. Because if I'm going to go fishing, right? If I'm going to go fishing, why not go a little early? Why not go a whole lot early? Right? That's what we do as anglers. We're going to go fishing, but we're going to go in the morning. And there we are. And we're waiting. And maybe we don't catch the sleep because we're too anxious. What's the point of just being there, waiting? Take off. Go early. So that's what I do, because when it can't be done, it can't be done, right? But usually I don't sleep. I don't sleep before I go fishing. If anything, maybe an hour. Like if I'm gonna go on the boat, I'm not gonna go overnight. So those days I sleep. But when it's gonna be on the kayak or where I have to walk to the spot, you know, I do that. So hopefully, once again, guys, this time, leave early, just like I did. Maybe 6:30, That was a good hour. 6:30 on Friday. Hit that spot again. I don't have any extra bait. So I'm gonna have to really work at getting bait this time around. Take the necessary gear. Go prepared. Don't go underprepared. And there was right there proof that I wasn't prepared. I didn't think to take my license with me. I have it on the phone, but on the phone I can't pull that oversized tank. I can't pull it out of there. So right there, I messed up. I messed up right there. You always go. I would rather take gear and not use it than to, why didn't I bring it? I take a lot of pullovers. I take the beanie, the wind jacket, the wind pants. Those are good for rain and water. The spray, some food, drinks, munchies, extra lines, extra hooks, lights, batteries, extra batteries. And the kayak is loaded, but you also have to think about not overloading it also. You got to think about that. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the Dallas Cowboys. You either love them or you hate them, right? And if you love them, sometimes you kind of hate them. I live so far down south that it doesn't help rooting for another team. They're not going to be in network all the time. You'll see them on occasion on Channel 4, Channel 5, or on NBC. But these Dallas Cowboys are so unpredictable. It's like fishing, hit or miss, mostly miss. They're off this week. What was I looking for? The Commanders lost. I wanted the Commanders to lose. Giants have only one win, so now they have two. The Commanders win, they're still up here, right on the heels of the Cowboys. So we wanted the Commanders to lose, and they did. A couple of NFC teams, we wanted them to lose, and they did. The Lions lost. That's a bonus. You want everybody to lose. The Seahawks won. I wanted them to lose, right? Because you want everybody down, and the Cowboys up, obviously. Now, check this out. ESPN, I believe First Take, said that who are the Chargers? The Chargers are nobody. Nobody wants to give props to the Dallas Cowboys. Nobody. Who are the Chargers? Well, the Chargers are the team that gave the Chiefs just right now all they could handle. In the end, the Chargers couldn't muster up and tie the score, so they went down 2 scores now. But the Chiefs, they were having a little bit of fits against the Chargers there. But they don't talk about the struggles Mahomes has sometimes. So I'm talking about the Chargers because it relates to how they played against the Cowboys. Now, I'm not absolutely sure how the Rams did. I was looking at the score against, I believe it was the Steelers. Steelers may have been up by 1 point at one point. But Cowboys play the Rams next week. And this is what they do. They talk really good about that team. But when they play the Cowboys and lose, they talk about how bad of a team that team was. How do you figure that? They go on and on about what's that guy's name? Number 99, huh? MVP. They talk about him. Oh, but when they lose to the Cowboys, oh, they've been having a bad year so far. So once again, the Cowboys, it's like fishing, hit or miss. You know, they need to. Dak Prescott, in a sense, has to be that Dak Prescott before he's throwing for 300 yards. Unfortunately, that's the Prescott he has to be. You cannot limit him to 100 and some yards a game. You can't. You can't. You can't be that dude. Because when this team gets constipated and needs to score and move the ball, they won't be able to. Because that's not in the DNA anymore. He needs to run with using his legs. He needs to move up out of the pocket and take those 5 or 6 yards when he's doing play action. He should have 1 or 2 different choices. He can't be looking for. He wants to sometimes lock a receiver down. He can't do that, especially against these next teams that are coming up. He wants to go to the first read. He has a couple of receivers already open because he has it in his mind that that's what he's going to do. So as far as the Cowboys, they are a team that needs to start on the right foot. Literally, too. Literally. If they start off the game with a penalty, a muffed punt, some type of, where they're gashed on defense on the first drive, you can't have those. This team has to be one of those that if they start on defense, they have to take it 3 and out on the other team. If they start on offense, Dak Prescott cannot go 3 and out himself. He can't do that. Okay? Well, I'll leave you with that, guys. Once again, follow the show. I try to bring videos once a week. Sometimes, if I can do it 2 times a week. And usually, excuse me, it's gonna vary in what I'm gonna be talking about. A lot of the times, I really want to dive in to the particular fishing trip that I already took, but I can't do it on that video, right? Because people want to see the fish; they don't want to see me, right? So I'll leave you with that, guys, and we'll see what next week brings. I'll keep the checking up on the weather, and share and subscribe if you haven't. Until next time, here on the Anglers 48 show, Anglers 48 signing off.